The seventh film in the Madea cinematic universe is Madea's Witness Protection. The film premiered in 2012, only 14 months after the release of Madea's Big Happy Family. Despite its depressing, sobering analysis of the African-American community, Madea's Big Happy Family managed to be a box office hit, raking in $54 million on a $25 million budget. But this new film would prove to be an even bigger hit. And despite competing at the box office with literally the Avengers, the film would become one of the top 3 highest grossing Madea movies of all time, with a $67 million haul on a tiny $20 million budget. Despite being 7 Madea movies deep, Madea fever was clearly still in full swing. And in case you were wondering, it never ends. The 13th live-action Madea movie, Madea's Destination Wedding, is being produced for Netflix as we speak. By the time we get to it, I bet the 14th one will be coming out. And that's not even a joke. It's part of the Netflix contract. You'll never stop, Madea. Have no fears, she's got stories for years, like what if Joe smoked weed? Or maybe Madea beats a child? Anyway, this is the movie with Eugene Levy, and it's about Madea overcoming her anti-Semitism. And you're gonna think that's like a joke or a funny interpretation, but no. So as my dear friend Sexy Phil once said, let's dive right into it. Now this is probably gonna blow your mind, but we don't see Madea in this Madea movie until about 15 minutes in. This time we meet Madea at the mart. Now, what a person does with their shopping cart after loading up their groceries says a lot about their character. And Madea, being a geriatric with limited years left on this earth, doesn't necessarily have time for all that shit. However, instead of abandoning her cart in the parking lot like a degenerate animal, she passes it off to a fellow black woman and warns her that the store is no longer accepting EBT cards.
It's crazy up there, be careful. Okay. They ain't taking that EBT card, they stopped taking that.
Which seems a bit presumptuous to me. But this warning is coming from a place of empathetic sincerity, which is just the sort of kind-hearted, self-hating racism I've grown to love from this series. However, the real Madea hijinks begin when an armed robber appears in Madea's back seat, and she completely refuses to take the threat seriously.
Give me your money! Give me your money!
That's a cute little gun you got, boy. Get out this car.
She then spends the next 2 full minutes telling the robber to get out of the car and go get a job. And usually these repetitive, clearly improvised Madea scenes don't do much for me. But doing it in the context of an armed robbery gives it a unique flavor that I kinda like.
I'm gonna tell you this one time, okay? I want you to get out of this car and go on about your business, go get you a job. This is your chance. Get out the car, son. Go on now. Go get you a job.
I'm gonna ask you one more time, old woman.
I'm gonna tell you one more time. Look out!
Listen!
Get out of this car. Go find you a job. Do you understand me?
Madea then starts recklessly driving in a way that would make even Ryan Dunn blush, and the robber desperately tries to keep his balance. Ultimately, he loses control, and Madea removes his mask to reveal a familiar face.
I'm a real thug. I'm a real thug. Oh my God!
It turns out Jake is a boy from the church who lost all his dad's money in the Ponzi scheme orchestrated by Eugene Levy's company. But Madea doesn't give a shit about that, and much like the orphans who try to rob her in I Can Do Bad All By Myself, Madea enslaves the attempted robber as punishment. As far as opening Madea scenes go, this was pretty impressive. I'll always love her destroying the fast food restaurant in the previous movie, but the concept of Madea defeating an armed robber through expert reckless driving checks off about half a dozen hijinks boxes at once. And Jake isn't the only one with money problems. Madea and Joe are legitimately so hard-pressed for cash that Madea is considering going back to work.
Here, things been tight around here. I was even thinking about going back to my old job.
Stripping?
No.
Hooking?
No.
Robbing?
No.
Slinging?
No.
Madea then goes on a rant about how she wants to kill Joe, and not even for the insurance money, she just wants him dead.
I'm not trying to kill you for the insurance money. I'm killing you because I want you dead. I just want you completely dead. Just no life in you at all. Just not breathing. Just maggot food.
However, Medea's lawyer nephew Brian has a proposition for her. Long story short, Eugene Levy was working for a company that was running a Ponzi scheme under his nose. And all the money he thought he was raising for charity had actually been money laundered to the Malone Mafia family. And as the CFO of the charity division under investigation, the clueless Eugene Levy is now the patsy for the crime. And if he wants to stay out of prison for life, he has no choice but to testify in court against the mafia. So until that day comes, he and his family need to be housed somewhere secret under witness protection. And in classic hero's journey fashion, Madea rejects the call to adventure and tells Brian she absolutely will not have a family of criminals living in her house.
No, I don't want nobody up in here. I'm sorry. Absolutely not. I cannot do that. You're going to have to find somewhere else for them to go. The answer's a flat out no, and I'm not changing my mind.
Guess some other lucky person will make that $4,000 a month.
You know what? I believe it would be the greatest Christianity thing I could do to help somebody in need.
Now comes the part of our story that gets a little bit sad. Basically, the anti-Semitic part. The family arrives at Medea's home, and she is immediately outraged.
Brian, what the hell going on?
Madea, this is the family that I was telling you about.
You forgot to mention one little important thing about this family.
What's that?
Now I know what you're thinking. But Jimmy, this is obviously about white people, not Jewish people. Duh. Well, for one...
Madea, these are the Needlemans?
Needleman is a Jewish surname of American origin.
And for two, Madea literally says it isn't about the color of their skin.
You done brought these folks up in this house. What is wrong with you?
Madea, listen, okay, I know that they're not African American, right?
I don't care nothing about the color of their skin.
Now, I've done a lot of research into African American statistics for the sake of relating them to these Madea reviews, and thus far none of my findings have been too shocking. Most black people know a victim of gun violence. Black people have higher rates of obesity. 90% of the theater-going audience for Madea movies was black people. So far it all seemed like common sense. But then... Madea started acting all anti-Semitic. And I figured this was just some classic Madea hijinks. A cute quirk of her character and nothing indicative of any group she represents. However, Tyler Perry is well versed in the controversies and sins of the black community, and he loves highlighting these issues through the characters in his films. And it turns out this anti-Semitic character quirk is also based on some dark statistics. If your worldview is based entirely on mainstream media, your mental image of an anti-Semitic person is probably a white man. But according to a survey conducted by the Anti-Defamation League, black people are nearly 4 times more likely to be anti-Semitic than their white counterparts. And the ADL are the people who said Pepe the Frog is a symbol of hate, so I'm inclined to trust their judgment. And with 43% of black people without any college education falling into the category of most anti-Semitic, it is statistically likely that Madea would be a perpetrator of this misguided, despicable mindset. My question is, what could the good people of this respectable religion have possibly done to earn the prejudice and vitriol of both Madea and the larger African American community? The blood-stained child-sized mattresses recovered from the secret tunnels beneath a New York synagogue weren't discovered until 2024, a full 12 years after this film's release, so this is unlikely to be the reason. One valid reason for their hatred might be the fact that So yeah, Madea is not comfortable housing a Jewish family, but it's too late now. Thankfully, this will be Medea's character arc in the film, and after a lot of squabbling with the family, she eventually learns to overcome her prejudice. And squabble they do. Basically, the next full hour of the movie is just the Jewish family and the black family struggling to get along in comical ways. And it quickly becomes clear how this movie was made on a tiny $20 million budget. The vast majority of the film is just the characters talking to each other in the house because they can't go outside or the mafia will kill them. And people just talking in a house is basically the cheapest type of movie you could possibly make. But house arrest never stopped Madea from having hijinks before, and thankfully it won't now. The first conflict between the families is when Eugene Levy's daughter starts acting like a spoiled bitch. Mostly because she is a spoiled bitch.
Dad, I can't stay here! What are we, sharecroppers now?
Honey, not nice.
Thankfully, Madea is here to set the girl straight.
Hey, you talk to.
Oh my God! What is wrong with you?
Further hijinks ensue when the girl makes a joke that Madea was raised by Moses.
How was school today?
About the same as when you were raised by Moses.
So as revenge, Madea convinces her that her entire family was killed.
I got something to tell you, honey. It's awfully bad news. Your daddy died.
What?
He died. Them people that were looking for him, they came here and they got him. But they had a helicopter, and that helicopter got closer, and that was it.
No, K2?
Meanwhile, Joe finally has an entire storyline to himself. I like the Joe character, but usually he only briefly appears in these movies to smoke weed and roast everybody. In this movie, he gets a subplot involving a romantic entanglement with the racist Alzheimer's grandma of the Jewish family.
Thank you. You always were the best colored help we could ever find.
Joe and the Jewish grandma eventually realize that they actually met and fucked during the war 53 years prior. And that leads to the horrible realization that Eugene Levy is Joe's son.
So, when I was a kid, I had an afro that was, large.
Can you swim, son?
No.
But unlike Madea on the Maury Povich show, who was reduced to hysterics upon a paternal revelation, Joe instead decides to man up and do the right thing. So he plays catch with his technically 1/4 black grandson and teaches him about the Negro Baseball League.
Colored like Negro, like me and you. They couldn't play professional baseball, so they came up with their own leagues.
With about 20 minutes left in this nearly 2-hour film, they decide it's about time to deliver on the action espionage promise of the film's trailer and premise. Eugene Levy wants to right the wrongs of his company and get the charity money into the rightful hands. So they come up with a scheme where Madea will go undercover as somebody named Precious Jackson, walk into a New York bank, and withdraw the money from the Ponzi account. Now, you might expect this mafia movie to have some sort of dramatic action finale. After all, the mafia wants that money, and they want to kill Eugene Levy before he can testify. And at the beginning of the movie, Madea showed off her frantic driving skills in order to defeat a low-level criminal. So that's basically like a Chekhov's gun sort of foreshadowing, obviously. It is subconsciously getting your mind prepared to suspend disbelief later on in the film when Madea does the same thing but on a grander scale, haphazardly driving like a madwoman through the streets of New York City with the mafia hot on her tail, shooting guns and crashing into cars and all this crazy shit. And since this entire movie so far was just filmed in Medea's house, you just know they saved up the entire budget for this epic final action scene. And it's totally gonna make up for all the slow, boring parts. Except, no. Madea walks into the bank, gets the money, and the movie is over. There's literally no conflict, no bump in the road, no hiccup in the plan, no Madea buffoonery that throws a monkey wrench into the scheme of things. It's no wonder why this was in the top 3 most successful Madea movies. The trailer would have you believe this was a fully fledged Madea adventure on the streets of New York City fighting the mafia. The goddamn poster says new look, New York, new Madea. It's all a fucking lie. The greatest cinematic blue balls of 2012. And that's the year The Dark Knight Rises came out.
If
I pull that off, will you die?
Of course.
There's a reason why opening night audiences gave this film an A- cinema score, a far cry from the legendary A+ that began the franchise. But enough of my fan fiction and bitching. Let's take a look at what they actually did. The closest thing we get to hijinks in these final 20 minutes takes place at airport security. Madea has never flown before, and she's unaccustomed to the retarded practices of the TSA, which leads to the type of social commentary that surely elicited a gaggle of applause and vocalized support from audiences in the theater.
Baby, I can't take off my shoes. Do you know how hard it is for a woman my size to take off his shoes? I'm supposed to take off my shoes? What the hell that need me to take my shoes off for? Take them off, but I don't know who the hell gonna help me put them back on. Y'all so serious.
Madea also seems confused about what a metal detector is, which is confusing to me considering she has been in and out of jail and courthouses her whole life. I don't know, maybe I'm just not a fan of this particular brand of airport humor, but Medea's behavior here is less hijinksical and more foolish and generally out of character. Like when she keeps saying the word bomb for no reason.
But I'm finna do it. This gonna be the bomb.
Don't say bomb. Don't say bomb.
What's the bomb? It's the bomb. Don't say.
This brings us to the climax of the film, and while it might not be a thrilling mafia chase through Manhattan, it is a strange yet somewhat charming resolution to Medea's character arc. You probably thought I was joking about the Jewish stuff. It's literally the plot of the film. The fact of the matter is, nearly half of non-college educated African Americans hold anti-Semitic beliefs, and Medea's character fell into this category. But ironically, due to her greed for money, Madea was forced to live with a Jewish family, and despite being visually uncomfortable in their presence, she eventually learns that they're just people like anyone else. Why is this relevant to the finale? Because Madea needs to go undercover at a New York bank and convince the head banker that she is a woman named Precious Jackson. So, Madea needs to maintain her composure and keep a logical head throughout the duration of this operation. And it just so happens that the head banker, and I shit you not, this is the plot of the movie! The final boss head New York banker who Madea needs to confront in the climax of the film is named Jack Goldenberg!
Remember, the man you are meeting, his name is Jack Goldenberg.
I got it, Jack Goldenberg. Thank you.
Goldenberg is a surname of Jewish Austrian or Jewish Romanian origin.
In the presence of Jack Goldenberg, the Madea from the beginning of the film would have frozen in place, stuttering with furious hatred burning just below the surface. She would have failed her undercover mission immediately and the charities would have suffered. But this is a different Madea. A changed Madea. A new look, New York, new Madea. And she walks into that office, and she looks that Jewish banker in the eyes, and she lies straight to his face like it's the most natural thing in the world. Say what you will about Tyler Perry, but the man knows how to write an effective character arc. The Madea hijinks in this movie might have been noticeably lower budget than the film directly preceding it, but with a bit of creativity and elbow grease, a house-arrested Madea is still capable of plenty. I especially enjoyed Medea's feud with the daughter. Since this kid isn't an orphan under Medea's custody, she had to get a bit more innovative than her usual beatings. And you can't really troll an orphan by saying its parents were just killed. So this was a great opportunity for Madea to pull that trick out of the bag. And since Joe hijinks technically counts as Madea hijinks, I've got to give this movie props for not only giving Joe a proper storyline, but developing his character in a meaningful way. His various hijinks romancing a racist mental patient and discovering a long-lost son were some of the highlights of the movie. So, in terms of Madea hijinks, I'm giving this one 7 out of 10. Despite having a comedy legend like Eugene Levy on the cast, Tyler Perry's characters are the standout performances.
I'm a tough guy from the hood. Mister, you going down, homie? Because I'll tell you, I'm going to do the damn thing.
The scenes where it's just 3 Tyler Perrys bickering with each other in the kitchen are some of the funniest of the movie. And the truth of the matter is, none of these actors have as good of chemistry with Tyler Perry as he has with himself. And it was nice to see a different side of Joe. I never thought I'd see him playing catch in the yard with a young Jewish boy. Some of Tyler Perry's acting in the airport security scene was a little over the top for my taste, but otherwise the comedy is delivered in a way that feels authentic.
Now what?
Stand right over here, please.
Yes.
Just gonna do a quick pat down.
On my body?
Yes. Go ahead and raise your hands.
I'm under arrest?
No, ma'am.
Why you patting me down? You gonna find a roadmap to heaven? You better come on from up there now. Come on up. Now wait, now what the hell you doing?
Something back here that you want to tell me about?
Yes, that's my ass. It's from wall to wall in this skirt.
Y'all laughing, but I think I got the cancer.
You are the cancer.
So in terms of Madea performance, I'm also giving this one 7 out of 10. Throughout these Madea reviews, we've been exploring Tyler Perry's relationship to the black community and his opinions on black issues as presented within his films. The previous entry explored a wide gamut of the black community's internal issues, while this movie hyper-focuses on just one. But it also provides a snapshot of Tyler Perry's worldview on racial language policing all the way back in 2012. Basically, wanting to educate her uncultured house guests, Madea gives a history lesson on the evolution of the words used to describe black people.
First we were Negroes, then we was colored, then we were black, now we African American, okay? African Americans.
First of all, I'm pretty sure you're forgetting a word that came before Negroes. And second, I wonder how long this interpretation of nomenclature was actually relevant and respected in society. These days, most people agree that it's fine and normal to just use the word black. And in fact, word policing the term African American is kind of retarded considering people would use it to describe folks like Idris Elba. Like, oh shit, I guess a British dude can't really be African American. Well, what is he? I guess he's black. I guess they're all black. Even the brown ones. Fuck it, why not? So yeah, Tyler Perry's little preferred nomenclature rant is now just a cute relic of an age where acceptable language was dictated by emotions rather than logic. Thankfully, this Madea movie has taught us that in terms of language policing, time makes fools of us all. And now nobody in the modern day ever tries to force words into other people's mouths. Anyway, this movie was mostly boring and the third act was an extreme disappointment. I'm not saying there should be a class action lawsuit for false advertising, but we were promised Madea in New York and the closest we got was a sidewalk. You lazy motherfucker! So in terms of overall movie quality, I'm giving this one 4 out of 10, giving it a final score of 18 out of 30, landing it in 4th place on our list. I hope you're ready for some ho jokes because the Madea Christmas movie is up next. Hopefully Joe gets a lot of Smokey McPlant in his stocking. Thank you for watching, folks, and I'll see you on the next one.